Hi, this is Joe with Synergy's Accidentally Fit podcast, and today it's my honor to be joined by Jarrett Newby. I've known Jarrett over the years as someone who's done a lot for fitness and activity in the community. And then if you've listened to the previous episodes, a few of the people on the stories, like Beth Marsh sharing her story of how she got fit, mentioned Jarrett and Noobsanity and how she got into doing some obstacle course racing actually just obstacle course going and training on it just for something different that she thought she could have never done in her life before. And now she has the fitness level and the drive to do it. And Jarrett's provided her their opportunity with the cool place he has. So Jarrett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe. I'm happy to be here talking to you about it.
Yeah. And whenever someone comes on the show, I always ask them to share some of their fitness or health tips. And since you've been in the game for a while, you did cross country in high school, right? Was there anything else too, track?
I didn't do cross country in high school. It's probably a sore subject with the cross country coach and other would-be teammates. So I played on the soccer team. We won a section title, but my first cross country race was a Division I cross country race because I had a track scholarship, and I did pretty well. I did well enough where my high school cross country coach was pretty upset. And then fast forward a few years, and I was in the Carolinas, I was in the Midwest, and I moved back to the area. I love this area, all the outdoor activities that it has. And he started seeing this Noobsanity stuff, and he's like, did you just build some trails? I'm like, oh, I've always had these. And he's like, you didn't run cross country and you basically had a cross country course at your house? I was like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you get to run it every day whenever you want. What led you to build all the obstacle courses before we get into the tips? Where did you find a passion for the obstacle courses?
So I grew up racing motocross, playing soccer and running. And what was fun was motocross, soccer, running. And what I turned out to be good at was running, soccer, motocross. And my dad, he had his pro motocross license for, I think, like 7 years back in the 80s. So he's always been into being active, but it's specifically with more of the things on the extreme sports side. And when I was getting done with college, I was a mid-distance runner, so 800 meters, 400 meters. And there's really not a lot of like charity 800-meter races. Everything's a 5K, 10K, half marathon. And that just didn't sound fun to me. So right about the time my athletic career in college was wrapping up is when obstacle course racing started. And one of them was actually at a motocross track that my dad and I used to always drive down to New Jersey and race. So we saw this obstacle course. I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's like running and motocross and you get electrocuted and you want to go. And he's like, yeah, it sounds awesome. So we went down to it. We had a blast and we qualified for the world championships that they were having. And we're like, well, we got to train for that. So I was actually out in the Midwest still, but my dad started just building some things to train with. It was like ladders and trees and picking up rocks. And when I moved home, we just took it to a next level with all the different places we had been. We said, hey, I want to be better at this. Let's try to build things like we race on and maybe even a little bit harder so you can, train hard, race easy.
Yeah, it's absolute beautiful course. I've been on some that have been out, the name brand ones, and I much prefer going to yours.
I appreciate that.
It's high quality, and I think it's a similar story. And a little bit of the nugget in the story is having that baseline fitness where you can go out and say, all right, I'm going to try this thing now, or I'm going to try this now, and still have fun at it because you have that baseline fitness level. It lets you experience a lot more, and that's just like, you haven't heard the podcast yet, but that's what Beth was talking about, where she found a fitness level where she can go out and do the obstacle courses, the 5Ks, hiking mountains now, and things like that, where you get to experience things that, I didn't grow up with it as a kid. My father was not an outdoors person. It just provides the opportunity to go out there and enjoy your fitness. And speaking of fitness, what's one tip you have for us?
I always talk about maximizing fun. So when you're at Noobsanity, you can talk, people are like, Jarrett, I want to get better. Like, what's a plan? And we're all busy. We all have real jobs. We have kids. We have all these different commitments, and it's make it fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to keep doing it. There's what might be the perfect plan, but if you don't do it, it's not perfect. So that's where Noobsanity comes in. If you ever are at Noobsanity and you're like, man, that just doesn't sound fun. You shouldn't be there. I mean, it's a playground for adults. There's warped walls like Ninja Warrior. There's, overhead rig stuff. There's going through mud, and it's just generally messing around outdoors with your friends. So that's one fitness tip, is make it fun. And you can do that with everything. I mean, there's, I'm a runner. I prefer trails over road because I think it's more fun. I try to meet up with other people because it's more fun than running by myself. I do silly point-to-point runs, which takes a whole bunch of planning ahead of time. But instead of going down to the track and cranking out 20 laps, you look at the map and you say, wouldn't it be cool if? So wouldn't it be cool if a couple years ago, one of the things we did, we looked at a map and we're like, I think I could run to every carousel in Broome County, because you get a button, it's a button for little kids for riding carousels all summer. And we ran from Endicott, hit every one, got to the last one, got a button, and then jogged down to Confluence Running Store and gave them our button. And they're like, wait, what? And we're like, yeah, I just ran to all these. It's like, why? And I was like, well, it seemed fun.
Yeah, something to do for the day. And we didn't plan this, but one of the first podcast episodes, I answered the question of if someone were to ask me, how do I get in shape the best? Or how do I get in shape the quickest? The follow-up question is, what do you enjoy doing? Because that's really the only way you're going to get in shape. Jarrett likes running, trail running. I like hiking. Some people like swimming. Some people like lifting weights. Some people like riding bikes. Whatever it is, that's got to be your keystone to your fitness plan. You can go out and do these other things to supplement it, to see, like, am I in shape enough to swim a mile? Am I in shape enough to run the course at Noobsanity? And you just build it up, and you find different ways to have fun, to actually make it part of a lifestyle and not something that you dread doing as like a punishment for eating bad.
Right. And it's funny you say eating bad. I always talk about Noobsanity as like part of a balanced breakfast. It's, that's like the bacon or sugar cereal where you're like, this is fun. This is what got me excited to sit down for the meal. But, I've got a grapefruit and a bran muffin over there too. Like, those are the other fitness activities that once you really get into something, for me, obstacles, that you start doing because the payoff is fun. It's fun to do push-ups and pull-ups so that I'm better at obstacles when I get there. And I know there's that payoff for it, so it's going to be fun. I'm not just doing random exercises in a vacuum because I want to be the best at exercising. I have that end goal in mind.
And you have one daughter, right?
I do.
Do you have multiple? Okay. And this is something I didn't know until I got older, because I used to like to do strongman competitions. But if I did them all the time, I would have burned out all the farmers walks and Atlas stones and stuff like that. But now when I'm with my kids, something that's version of fun is, if we're out on the coast of Maine, can I get all my three kids down this ridge line to the beach so they can have a good day? And you're carrying them, and it feels like the kind of training you've done before with all those odd objects and stuff, carrying a kid like he's just a water balloon trying to squish out of your arms, and being able to like pass that fun to the next generation is getting very rewarding for the young dads.
Yeah. I was on a trail this weekend. We were coming down off Crowder Mountain. It was my wife, my mom, my stepdad, and my daughter had fallen asleep basically at the top. It's 3 miles down. And it's funny you said that, because I'm carrying her, and there's a picture on my Instagram, and she's just out, and we're going down rocks. And as we get closer, we see this guy in the trail, and he's kind of built like you. He's a strong dude, but he sees me, and like, as he gets closer, he realizes I've been carrying my daughter this whole time. He's been seeing me at the trail, and she's just totally out, and it's all these crazy rocks. And he's like, dude, you're a legend. I'm like, oh, thanks. That's basically dad life.
Yes.
It's all the obstacle course races I do put into everyday life, but it was fun. And I don't know, that's what goal I always have. I talk about push-up and pull-ups as an example, where I was like, hey, I'm doing this because I want to be good at something later. Since I've had my daughter, that's one of the things that I found is I want to stay in my best shape, because, I want her, as she gets older, and she remembers me from when she's little, to be like, oh, like my dad was a rock star. He was in good shape. And, every kid thinks that about their parents. Like, I had the privilege of my dad really, being a Superman, being a
He's
crazy
still
guy.
stronger than both of us, probably, or more fit.
he's,
Yeah.
he's definitely stupider in a good way.
Yes. Yeah, I get that. Hopefully the listeners get that too. What's your next tip other than having fun?
Make it part of a routine. Again, I went to school, my undergrads in exercise physiology, and I probably only use that about 10% of the time. And that's because so much of it, I think, is psychological. And, you make it part of a routine, that ends up being the perfect plan because you're doing it every day or almost every other day. So an example is during the winter, it's tough to get motivated to go outside and run. And actually one of your trainers and I had a run streak going. So last November until this November, I ran every day 2 miles outside. Now that sounds like too much for a lot of people, but you got to figure we were coming in with a really high base fitness level. And that just turned our off days into like slow 2 mile runs, where a normal training day is, running 7 to 10 miles. So we still got that. So obviously that's Ryan at your gym. He's
Oh yeah, you mean the trainer that I beat in the marathon?
Oh yeah, you crushed him, didn't you?
By a lot. I don't even know if he I'm never running another one, that's for sure. He was so far in front of me, I didn't even know he was running it until like the next day when I saw on Facebook. My goal was just to not get picked up by the bus at the back that was like, hey, you guys got to stop running because it's going to be the next day. But yes, getting someone to do it with and having part of your routine is so critical. And like Jarrett's mentioning, even during the winter, it could be something smaller to remind you. Like mine was, I walked the top of this hill and back. I live by a hill that goes up to Copernic. It's about 1 mile. Regardless of the weather, I'd just walk up and walk down. It'd be half hour. It was my habit of sometime during the day. And I'd be sitting here thinking like, all right, well, I'm dinking around on Facebook. I can probably walk up that hill right now, get that done, check that box and get it done. So having the routine is so essential. It could be just walking. It could be, maybe you don't want to go outside in the winter. Maybe that's not fun to you. Maybe you're not a weirdo like Jarrett and I are. And maybe your habit is, sit down on the couch and get up 100 times and do 100 knee push-ups. And maybe that's your habit. So whatever it is to help you maintain that baseline so you're not losing progress and it is part of your daily routine.
And hopefully it's something that's a little bit challenging, but really easy enough where it gets you going, because once you do it, a lot of times you're like, I'm not going to stop at the minimum, because your body works with momentum. If you've been sitting all day, it's the easiest thing in the world to keep sitting. If you get up and start doing something, all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I'm not that tired. I do feel pretty good. I'd find myself, going outside to like just get 2 miles in. And then when I came back, be like, I'm going to jump on the treadmill for another 4 or 5. Like this is going to be a full run day. I actually feel pretty good.
Yeah, I love the point about the momentum. And you can really switch your attitude around if you're feeling all locked up and tired and almost like you're falling asleep, and then you go put a little bit of exercise in. It sounds counterintuitive that, hey, I'm tired, I should sleep. But it's mid-afternoon and you go for a little walk and all of a sudden you're energized again. That spending that energy gets you more energy because it gets your body moving and in progress. What's your last tip, Jarrett?
My last tip, let's see. I had it and I just blanked out because this whole on-camera thing. So give me 1 second.
Too much banter.
Oh, here it is. It was just listening to your stories. I was just so focused. So my last tip would be, you don't have to be in shape to get in shape. I hear it all the time for people that are coming up to Noobsanity. We'll get messages and someone goes, hey, that looks super cool. I'm going to come up there. They ask all the questions, when is it happening? What time, price, all that. And then they say, that sounds awesome. As soon as I get in shape, I'm coming up there. And I never see them. And I always try to tell them, you don't have to be in shape to get in shape. If you're going to the right place, there should be a starting point for everyone, no matter your fitness level. Our obstacle course has, lanes that are going to challenge, the best Ninja Warrior athlete. And it has a way for somebody that shows up for the first time, or maybe he's had some injuries in the past, to be able to be there and be involved. So that's my last tip is, don't outthink yourself.
Yeah, I've heard that one a lot too. Like, yeah, I'll get started working out once I work out enough to get in shape to work out.
I was like, you're not doing it. I'm never going to see you until you change your attitude that I'm going to do it now. Start taking those steps now, because what got you to the point of not thinking you're in shape to do it is the same mindset that's going to keep you from getting to that point. You just start, see what happens, start doing something, change the routine. And I'm sure I'll see you up here, or Joe will see you at the gym. But if you just say, hey, I'm going to change this by doing the exact same things I've always done, it's just not going to happen.
I think the underlying psychology is that people don't want to go out of their comfort zone and try something new because they're worried about getting embarrassed. And that's completely understandable. And maybe there's been experiences in their life where they've had that happen. But for the people on the show, that's, once you get in a community of people like Jarrett's at Noobsanity, or like I think we have at Synergy, where it's everyone is starting at the same spot where you're thinking about starting right now, and you're not sure whether you should. Well, you probably should, because like Jarrett said, there's some programming around. It's called GPP, General Physical Preparedness, where you're getting in shape a little bit to get in shape, and what they do up there. And our on-ramp program is all based around just getting you comfortable, getting used to the obstacles, getting used to the lifts, getting used to exercise, building a routine, and having that progress. So there is kind of this intimidation factor of going to a new gym, going to a new obstacle course, going to run a first 5K. No one expects you to win your first 5K. No one expects you to lift all the way at the gym, and no one expects you to go up the warp wall, because I didn't make it either. So hopefully no one expected me to make it up that warp wall, but it's all part of the progress. And go right back to the first tip. You got to find the fun in the process, and not necessarily the actual workout itself. Have some fun in the process and give them something to try.
Yeah. I'll give you one bonus tip, and that's simply set goals that you might not accomplish. I think so many people, when you talk about comfort zone, if they talk about like, yeah, I'm a goal setter, I'm a go-getter, and it's like, when was the last time you failed? And they're like, I don't fail. I'm like, okay, well, you're not putting your challenges hard enough. Like, you should occasionally make a goal that scares you. You think of steps along the way that are certainly doable and measurable, but by the end you say, I made it and this is awesome, I'm super proud of it, or I came up just short, but I'm still proud of it because I see the steps and I was able to put in the work along the way. But, if you haven't failed on a goal, I think you need to make them harder.
Yeah, exactly. Something I learned from a business mentor who always told me, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, because you're not going to learn anything. If you set goals that you can already do, you're not going to expand your strength or fitness level either. Jarrett, where can we learn more about you and Noobsanity?
Sure. Noobsanity.com.
Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, he's got a great logo shirt on. They can't quite see the bottom. His head's right in front of the word on the wall, so you can't see all of it. But now you can. There you go. Noobsanity.com, which is part of his last name. Insanity. Yes, should be Insanity.
It started off when we were training for Tough Mudder and Spartan Race, and my dad and I started the business together, and he's like, we should call it Tough Mudder Training Course. And I'm like, I'm 100% sure we can't call it that for legal reasons. And it was just about the same time, I think, him and some of his buddies went water skiing on Thanksgiving for no reason, and they tried to invite somebody else who's maybe doesn't have the Noobsanity in their blood. And it was just like, hey, we're going water skiing on Thanksgiving. He's like, that sounds awful. He's like, no, it sounds like fun. He's like, and then the friend said, nah, that sounds like Noobsanity. We're like, that's it.
That's the name.
Generally what we do.
And you guys have won an award there, haven't you?
Yeah. So we were nominated by Mud Run Guide for best permanent obstacle course location. We actually didn't win. There's this awesome course that is actually now out of business, but it was up in Vermont. It was super cool. But we were nominated out of the entire country for best permanent obstacle course. And we were pretty proud of that, because sometimes you don't know what you're getting into when you show up to an obstacle course or gym. I know I've shown up to obstacle courses thinking like, hey, I love this stuff. And it's like, jump over this tire, throw a hay bale, and you're like, what is this? So we always want to get people out to try it. We're 2 miles off Route 81 in Castle Creek, so it's pretty easy to get to. We have a Facebook page, just, facebook.com/Noobsanity. And if you forgot all of that, if you just Google obstacle course, we're probably the first thing that comes up if you live in this area.
Well, make sure to link it in the description of the podcast so you guys can check out the website and the Facebook page. I like the Facebook page more, even over our own website, because you get to feel the personality and you become more comfortable and you might be willing to give it a shot. And I can vouch for it. I've quote unquote ran it. I went through it. My kids have gone there and loved the kids program. A lot of our members go up there and use it as a little challenge, a little something to test their fitness level. So Jarrett, thank you for being on the podcast. All listeners, go check out Noobsanity on Facebook, and we'll drop a link for you below.
Thanks, Jeff.